Hello everyone, and welcome to the Frontline Gaming Community's Champions Draft Series Season 5 recap. We're going to be covering the Challenger League and every bit of the season that they were able to play. But first, a few changes when it comes to Season 5. We have general managers for franchises, as well as historical versus current rank. So, a little bit of look back. For every single season that the FLG was able to have for every single one of his draft series, we went with what we call historical rank. Historical rank is based on what you were the previous seasons. If you were able to accomplish a max rank of a Grand Champion, then you stayed in the Champion League. Vanguard, we decided to split just a little bit more away from the Challenger League in the way that we truncated it to Champ 2 to Champ 3. Champ 3 onward to Grand Champ was in Champ League, but Challenger League is now at a hard split, Champ 1 on down to Diamond 1. So, this time around, we went with what we call current rank, which is just simply as it sounds. Current rank is what you were. A lot of people had a little bit of issue with this, and it did cause some controversy, but it did kick up the competition a notch because people were all over the place in where they were supposed to be versus where they were. So we saw some people, especially in the Challenger League, that were a little bit more elevated at their current skill level, but maybe in competition where it was going to be a little bit easier to compete. So that ended up with some fun results. Now we also have general managers. General managers were here to help us with our new franchise system. All of our different teams that the draft series has are teams created by the Frontline Gaming Community. Avalanche, Bandits, Casuals, on down all the way to Tsunami. They are now in a 3-tier franchise system. This allows collaboration, cooperation, and of course, coordination between all different levels of players. So they could scrim together, they could, kind of be subs with one another, and as well as just be able to help each other out when it came to the season. So you saw a lot of good work, especially for Vanguard players that were able to play alongside Champ League players when they needed a sub, especially in that kind of Champ 3 transitional phase. Sometimes it was successful, sometimes it was not. But we're going to move onward now to the Challenger League. From the preseason, moving onward to week 0, we got to see the results of the draft when it came to the Challenger League. The first overall pick was Ema, who ended up going to the Thunderbirds. But we saw a lot of controversy again when it came to the Ninjas, as they were the 5th overall pick, and they had a really good captain in Wadil being able to pick up his brother, Sheena. So now they had a very strong team, even in those later pick spots. But when we came to week 0, we allowed them to utilize who they had in the draft and make week 0 matches that didn't count against their overall record, but did allow us to kind of create the records that they were going to be playing throughout the entirety of the season. For others in the Vanguard and the Champion League, this helped them determine what their divisions would be. For the Challenger League, there was only 6 teams, so every match mattered every single week. But it did help kind of determine the, overall range at which they would be playing after week 0. Going into week 1, Challenger League doesn't have any divisions, so every single match they played meant everything. 5 matches, that's it. You either get into the postseason with your record, or you don't. And so we already had a lot of drama when it came to our on-stream games. Getting a reverse sweep, the Spartans were able to start 2-0, and in Intuos, they had to trust, as they had to go and reverse sweep against the Avalanche. And opposite, the Bandits started 0-2 and seemed to not be able to click on all cylinders at all, and it was a really tough week to start for them. And of course, there was already a bunch of free agency changes. We saw a pretty clutch trade in both the Ninjas and the Mob as they traded Luna and Balthier, which would prove to be a very pinnacle part of the season going into the postseason as well. And the Thunderbirds were able to pick up Mr. Wiggums and trading out Salty Nos, who went to the free agency. That as well would play a huge part of our postseason antics and actions and a lot of drama to come. Week number 2. Didn't I mention there was going to be drama? The Ninjas were already doing well. We said that they would do well. They were projected as a high performer, and they dropped their only true game of the regular season to the Mob. They are losing their focus. That's a shot. Oh, another save. Minecrafty Dad can't get there. That's a pass. That's an open net. They just had the bullet, and the Mob deliver the first game loss of the season to the Ninjas. The Mob ended up losing 1-3 in their series against them, and then Of course, everyone from out of the peanut gallery decided to show up and call Smurf. Yes, both Waddill and Sheena, before the season, assumedly, or seemingly so, were Champ 2 and Champ 3, but not directly before the season. Remember how I was talking about current rank versus historical rank? Well, this is where it all came into play. Yes, they were Champ 1 whenever the draft completed, so they were legally within their limits. But a lot of people were starting to see that this was going to be a much tougher season than it had previously expected. Week number 3 rolled around for the Challenger League, and of course the Ninjas just continue to roll. They go to 4-0, and already, the second to last week of the entire Season 5, they cement number 1 seed into the playoffs. And opposite, the Thunderbirds go 0-4 and cement their way out of the playoffs, invited to simply sit on the sideline and have one more match going into the final week of the season. Everyone else, literally everyone else, was at 2-3. There was only 4 spots available of the 6 teams to make it into the semis and the finals of the postseason playoff bracket. But who will they be? In a stunning turn of events, Week 4 rolls around and the previously completely defeated Thunderbirds were able to roll over the Spartans, completely sweeping their playoff hopes well under the rug and out of sight. Hopeless, the Spartans were defeated, which meant it was just remaining for how many matches would be won by the remaining teams. And of course, the Ninjas remained undefeated, going 5-0 into the playoffs, but everyone else that either lost or won was able to get seeds 2 through 4. And now finally, we get to the postseason. The regular season, everything doesn't matter now. It's simply where you are and how you have to win your games. So, we start off with the Ninjas beating out the Bandits, but it did start with some drama. They didn't complete their match requirements for the regular season for Luna. Luna had not played 2. Every player must play 2 on every single team so as to fulfill the requirements going into the postseason, or else you have a game 1 loss. So Bandits technically did win 1, but ended up getting completely beat out otherwise by the Ninjas, who marched on and actually had a sub in Salty Nos. Remember that drop at the beginning of the season as he was dropped to get Wiggums? Well, he came in clutch now for the Ninjas as they moved on to the winner's final bracket. The Mob decided to pick up and put up and shut up, and they swept the Avalanche, who they had played in Week 4. Now it was only time for the Avalanche and the Bandits to survive in the lower finals or the lower semifinals, which was an elimination match. The Avalanche seemed to be doing well and went 2-0 over them, but then for some reason, I suppose because they thought, well, why not anyway, the Bandits went full Scarabpalooza and started winning. We went all the way to Game 5, but the Magic just couldn't keep up, and they did run out of the good stuff, and ultimately the Bandits were eliminated from Day 1 playoff contention. Day 2 rolls around for the postseason for the Challenger League, and even though the Mob was the one team to be able to get a game off of the Ninjas in the regular season, they just couldn't put up enough of a fight. The Ninjas fight through, get their way to the grand finals. Now the Mob are relegated to the lower side and have to face off against the Avalanche. The Avalanche cruise through, and even with the Mob having the MVP of the Challenger League in Balthier, they could not do it, and so they had to leave everything to the Avalanche and Icy Panda to go into the dojo to fight against the Ninjas. However, those Ninjas, way too tough, and they were able to cruise through, beat out the Avalanche through a game best of 7 series, and ultimately go 8-0 for their general manager Justice, and the Ninjas won the grand final championship for Season 5 of the Challenger League. That's it for the Challenger League. Up next is going to be our Vanguard League Season 5 recap. Hope to see you in the next one.